Good evening to the town of Wareham. Welcome to the candidates' night for the Wareham Water and Fire Districts. And we appreciate the people in attendance tonight. The first thing I'm going to ask, though, is I know there's some emergency people here. Kind of silence your cell phones. I know you guys need to hear them. That's okay. But first of all, I'd like to thank the town of Wareham for allowing us to use this room tonight. This room's very busy. Anybody that knows the town, and thank you to WCTV, Wareham Cable, for airing it for us live in Wareham Week. Very fortunate. We have Liam Mayo tonight, who's going to be our moderator from the Wareham Week. He's an experienced interviewer, and I know he's going to do a great job. And again, thank you for the people being here. If you have a question you'd like asked, there's a pad of paper and a pen up there. You can write the question down, and we're going to look at. We don't want any personal attacks. That's the only thing we ask. We want to move forward here. It's no personalities getting involved. And at that point, Liam, thank you.
Thank you. The format of tonight will be as follows. Each candidate will give a 3-minute introductory statement. Then I will ask each of you a question, each of you the same question from a list of questions. You will have 2 minutes to do an initial response, and then once the both of you have answered a question, each of you will have the opportunity for a 30-second response. And then once all of the questions have been asked, you will each have a 2-minute closing statement. Does that sound good?
Wonderful, thank you.
All right. Which candidates? Okay. Mr. England, if you would like to start with your 2-minute introductory statement.
I thought it was a 3-minute.
3-minute, my apologies.
3 minutes can be a long time. Is this on? Can we hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
We're good?
As long as you speak directly into the mic, it'll be all right.
Okay. Rick England, I was born and raised here in Wareham. I grew up throughout the whole school system. I played for Tremont, played for the Tigers, hometown type of things. My father was a police officer here in Wareham, but he was also at one time the clerk treasurer of the district. So there is some history there with me that goes back to my father. Again, I went through the school system here, and after graduating college, I got a teaching degree. I came here to teach, and in November, Proposition 2.5 came along, and I was gone. From there, I did a stint at Walpole State Prison on the good side. Where I learned a lot there, and you encounter a lot of things. But after some gentleman knocks a little bit of sense into me, I said, "Dad, I think I'll try insurance." So I came back here to Wareham, at which time I ended up also coaching, because I was able to do that with my father in the business. And I coached football here for 13 years. At some point, I eventually coached Wareham High School hockey. I established, or with the help of Ben Hathaway, I established the Wareham Middle School hockey team. I did coach youth sports, so I've been active with that. I've been a Prudential Committee member for 13 years, and I've been a water commissioner for 9 years. I became a water commissioner out of need at the time. We had a gentleman retire, and there was nobody to fill the position, so I went ahead and volunteered to do that, and was elected unanimously because no one else ran. I own a business, Legacy Insurance Agency, in downtown Wareham. Been operating and owning that on Main Street since, with my father, it was England Insurance, and that was till 91, and then in 98, I joined partnership with Dana Keys, and we formed Legacy Insurance Agency, and we've been there ever since. And my wife and I live here in town, four children, all attended the Wareham school system, and have all done well. So that's about what I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Preston?
Thank you, Liam. My name is Sean Preston. I am an attorney here in town. Have a spot there on Main Street, and I would say if there was one thing that I would want to be remembered for, it should be service. Service is really important to me. Community is really important to me. Right out of high school, I joined the Army. Ended up fortunate enough to stretch that GI Bill for 3 degrees. And ever since then, it's just really been about service. So working with at-risk youth, working with different, Coats for Kids and any community place we've been at. My wife's the same way. Our kids are the same way. Everywhere we've lived, we always want to get involved. So I first moved to Wareham 2016, immediately got involved in the Gleason Family Y. Even today, as an attorney, I still work Gleason Family Y after work every day on Tuesdays, so you might find me there. Sorry, one thing I wanted to mention first off is thank you. Thank you to the folks that showed up today. Thank you to the folks that really care about this town and care about the future and making sure that it's in good hands. Thank you for the folks that are watching on Wareham TV. I think we have some really great resources in this community, and I'm excited for what we can accomplish together. So, back to my story. We came to Wareham 2016, started our family here, and traveled a lot. Took a job in Germany. That's where our second was born. Pandemic hits, come back to the States where our third is born, and we're back in Wareham because our kids are now school age, and we had to pick a place to commit to. We choose Wareham. So it's a little troubling, even embarrassing, the fact that some people don't believe in Wareham the way we do. Some people think we should have gone to Marion or Mattapoisett. I disagree. Wareham's where it's at. I love what's been going on here. I love that there's a brand new elementary school. Our kids are going to stay in the school district. We need more kids to stay through high school graduation in that Wareham school district. Ours will. My wife is equally as dedicated to service as I am, so she was working in that emergency room when they got the upgrade. She is incredibly impressive. Over the last few years, as we've been traveling and growing our family, she completed her master's. She's now at Wareham Pediatrics. Everything we can do to help this community, we're going to do. And that's part of why we're here tonight, is me running for Wareham Water Commissioner. I want to be that example for my kids. I want my kids to know every night when I'm tucking them in that we are a family about service. We are so blessed. We have so much going for us. But if we don't give back and if we don't serve, it means nothing. I'll give back the rest of my time. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you. The first question for the night is, what about your education, life skills, or work history makes you the best candidate for the position of Water Commissioner? And we'll start with you, Mr. Preston.
So my first degree was a double major in business and engineering. So understanding the nuts and bolts of the finances helps. Also with my experience, I'm a third-generation accountant. But the engineering side, I understand the infrastructure issues as well. For me, as a corporate attorney, my job is to bring people together. I think in this role, that's going to become crucially important, is to make sure that we have consensus and that we're able to move important projects forward. I can act as a buffer between the community and between the water department to make sure that everybody at the department has what they need in order to succeed and do their jobs at the highest level, and that members of the community have their questions answered in a timely fashion, in a way that they can understand where our priorities lie and what has to be done for the infrastructure of our community. In preparation for law school, I got a degree that had a little bit more reading and writing in it because I was always a math and science kid, so I got a degree in economics and economic development. Water is crucial. That's why I want to start here with water. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
Education-wise, my education was in education, so when I got out of school, I did want to become a teacher. Unfortunately, that road was not there to be had. And again, from there on, I got into the business world. And as far as serving in this town, I've been serving from the day one that I was here, whether it be with the youth in youth sports or with the high school and the high school athletics, and as a teacher as well. So my education there has had those benefits with the youth in this town. I also, as a business owner, I've done my contribution to the town itself. I have hired people that work for me in the township. Well, we donate to various organizations. One of the organizations that I belong to is the Wareham Community Associates. Some of you may know that. What we do with our clam bakes, and we raise money for the students in the town, and we've been giving out scholarships in the town for a good 40, 50 years. There was a time when the membership in that organization was 50 people with a waiting list. Unfortunately, people just don't seem to be joining groups like they used to anymore. And, we've lost a significant amount of people, so doing the clam bakes has become a real hard thing. We will be trying to raise some money on a different venue with golf, but that's one thing we plan on maintaining and giving out these scholarships that we can do. And again, again, my children here came through that school. They're all educated. They all went off to college. My wife was a nurse, she just retired, so she was a nurse. She worked at various locations here in town, OBGYN and hospice and a lot of other entities that she did here in the town as well. So as a family, we are very active in this community.
Thank you. Mr. Preston, would you like a 30-second response?
Yes, please. So the Water Department is a nonprofit organization. It is run that way. The commissioners operate somewhat as a board of directors. I have experience as a board, as serving on a board of directors. I understand the numbers. I understand all the instruments that we have to go through in order to be able to help the Water Department operate. That's my specific experience that directly applies here. On every board where I've served, my experience in accounting and law has been directly relevant. Thank you.
And Mr. England?
Well, I too can attest to that because, again, as a businessman here in town, I know and understand how to run a business. I've been, again, with the Prudential Committee for 13 years. That 13 years has put me and kept me in this position where we deal with all the finances of the district. So he wants to do the financing. I am doing the financing. So that's one thing that I've already been doing for the 13 years with the PRUCOM and for the 9 years with the Water Department and the Water Commissioner. The Water Department or the Water Commission, things that we do here have been running smoothly. I mean, the financing of the district and the water itself is something that's been working well for a number of years, and I see nothing more but that to continue.
Thank you. The second question of the night, and this will go to you first, Mr. England. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing the Water District, and do you have specific suggestions for improvement?
Well, we're working on the improvements already. Some of the biggest things that were accomplished, or the biggest thing that was accomplished, was bringing Wareham Water back to the way it was once before. If you lived in this town years and years ago, you see the people that always said that the Wareham Water was the best, and now it's no longer like that. With the water treatment plant, we spent $14 million to get rid of the iron and the manganese out of the system. And iron and manganese is something that's actually been infiltrating for the last few years in many communities. But with the treatment plant itself, our Wareham Water here is rebounded to where it used to be years ago. It's also something that, we are proud of as far as, we've done some projects with direction of, with the water as far as flushing and everything, and it's done really well. In the past, when we did the flushing, there'd be 2 weeks or 3 weeks with brown water. Because of the new plant, we're now reduced that by half. So it's something that we've been working on. We've also done things such as it's going to be up on the agenda for Monday, in purchasing 77 acres that are going to protect our wellheads. So and no more, it will protect us away from any pathogens that may come into the water system. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Preston?
I think one of the most difficult things for the water department is that anything they try to do, they've got to get it through 2 committees, the Water Commission and then PRUCOM. So I do not disagree with Mr. Anglin. I think things have been running really well. I don't have anything bad to say about Mr. Anglin. The fact of the matter is, if I'm successful here, I would still be working closely with Mr. Anglin because he's on PRUCOM as well. I think that the Water Commission the Water Department is really impressive. Everything that I've read about, everything that I've learned from meeting with the members, the team members there and the employees there, they can see past the end of their nose. They know what we need down the line. So it's strategic purchases of land to make sure that we have access to the water that we need. It's prioritizing the replacement of lines. We've got some pipes still as old as 1935. All that stuff in due time gets addressed, and I'm impressed with the way it's running. I'm here solely because I believe that it's my responsibility and the responsibility of people in the younger generation to begin stepping up, to begin getting involved. I would love to be a water commissioner. I would love to count Mr. Anglin as a mentor to me as we're going to be working together if I were successful, because this is where I want to be and this is what I want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Anglin, do you have a response?
Yes. I hear what he says, and I thank him for his nice comments. As far as the water commissioner, though, I do want to stay with this position. Yeah, it's not something that I want to give up. I want to stay with the water more so than I do the PRUCOM. And that's because I believe that the water is something that is more important to us. The Prudential Committee is the overseer. As a water commissioner, we do our own with our own people as that. And then with the fire department has their engineers. So it's a trickle-down thing. So as far as the water commissioner is concerned, yeah, we are already doing what needs to be done to, make sure that Wareham has and regains that best water that we've had. So, he wants to go into my position. I am in my position, and we're doing a great job.
All right. And Mr. Preston?
At some point in every community, the younger generation does need to step up. I am so glad for the old guard that is there and will be in place, because I agree, they've done a great job, but we don't need to wait another 10 or 20 years and just drop it in my lap. I would love to start getting involved now. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe you both have made reference to this in your most recent answer, but the next question is, what are your thoughts on the district spending over $1 million on bog or farmland? And the question goes first to Mr. Preston.
The short answer is it was a steal of a deal. It was a great idea and absolutely necessary. I mentioned before, we've got to be able to see past the end of our nose. I'm a big picture person, right? I'm a planner, and we need that sustainability for Wareham. Very glad that it was made available to us. Met with a member of Makepeace earlier today, and we were talking about it. In some ways, they're sad to see it, go, but it's really going to benefit us, absolutely. as far as, the numbers go, the goal within, Wareham Water is not to have the cheapest water imaginable. It's to have the fairest prices. It's all through what you read there. And statewide, the prices are fair. For me in the position, I will tell you that while I am a big picture person, I was also raised by accountants. So line by line, understanding that spending, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. And right now, I think we're in a good position. Certainly in the position I would have to dig in much deeper. The next year's budget will come this coming fall, and we'll take it one step at a time. But that purchase, that has the future in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
Well, yes, when, with the purchase of that property, again, it's 77 acres and it's all wellhead protection to cover our wells for any pathogens that may come or had previously existed in the bogs. They've been, the bogs themselves, Makepeace and other growers, they have actually done a great job in the past 10, 15 years as far as what chemicals are put into the ground and what aren't. But as far as this particular project, not only is it an expense to the district, but if we can go ahead and get a possible grant for that, we can reduce that premiums in the whole cost. So that's one thing that we're going to be looking to do as well, as far as getting a grant for that, so we don't have to come up with that whole full amount of money. And this is not the first properties that the district has acquired. We've acquired them a few times over the years, for protection of our water and our aquifer.
Mr. Preston, would you like a response?
Yes, Liam. The water department is particularly adept at taking advantage of government programs. I love it. So when you see in those budget line items that there are overages, they do collect more money than they strictly need in delivering that water every time, and it is in preparation for those grant programs. Everything I've seen and in reading the literature of what they've done, it is impressive, it is well planned, and it is well prioritized. And they're not able to take advantage of those unless they've got those funds handy. Everything that I've seen, they have exactly what they need in order to be able to participate in those. Right now, we're looking at a big one from FEMA. I love what they're doing. They're real sharp, and they need that board of directors, that commission, in order to help grease the wheels and help them do what they do at an even higher level.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
Oh, thank you. Tells me that we're doing a good job. So yeah, we, again, use the grants whenever we can for different projects. We've got a good-sized one coming up right now. And also, it's going to be on the agenda. And that has to do with a mitigation grant that we will have for funding. Again, it's a hazard mitigation grant, funding generators. When we built the water plant, the $14 million included, we went ahead and did a UV system to counteract any pathogens, but we weren't able to get a generator for that, for the treatment plant because of the excess money that it would have cost for that. So with the hazard mitigation grant that we have coming now, we're hoping that we're going to have, well, we are looking pretty forward to it coming, and we're going to end up with, a good-sized generator to run the plant and generators to run some of the wells, so that if anything should ever happen, whether it be a storm with outage or some other thing that causes the electricity to go away, we have access to all our water through the generator, and this hazard mitigation grant is one that's going to help us do that.
Thank you. The next question is, what would you like to see from a capital improvement plan for the Water District for the next, say, 5 years? And what capital improvements do you see as a priority for the district? And this goes first to Mr. England.
Well, the capital improvement plan that we have right now is still in function. Some of the things that we've been doing capital improvement is some of our vehicles are quite dated. have rusted frames and so on. So part of our capital improvement is taking care of our vehicle fleet. And one of the other things we're looking for in the near future too is to go with radio read for the houses when you drive by, and you can do your radio read for the amount of water that was usage to the homes. And with the new radio read system that we're looking into, we will be able to not only have it more efficient reading, we will be able to find any possible leaks that are going on ahead of time or catch them sooner. We will be able to cut down the process time. What used to take us 3 weeks to do or 3 months to do, we can now, we will be able to not only do that in that amount of time, but a much less amount of time, and which also may turn around and then allow us to maybe not replace a retiree, because we don't need to do that, because the radio read system is something that will, allow us to do that.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Preston?
I think the radio read system deserves deserves serious consideration. We need to look at the return on investment. The biggest thing in the capital improvements is, yes, it's a nonprofit, but we need to run it like a business. So looking at how we are not just maintaining our equipment, but how we are treating it as well on the balance sheet. So how are we, being able to sell off the trucks? Are they in good enough position afterwards to actually make the most off of that? Are we being responsible with our resources? The radio read system, I agree, is a great idea. It goes from 3 weeks out of the month down to 1 or 2 days just to go around town and be able to get all of that data. I think Mr. Anglin summed it up really well. It's about anything I could have spoken to it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
Again, thank you. Again, the radio read system is something that will come into fruition. We firmly believe that. And it will, lessen the time and the expense on an overall amount. The other type things that you probably would need here, I'm not sure where we're going at this moment for that. Anyway, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Preston?
I don't think we got any more on that. I mean, we could go cellular. That's got its own, drawbacks. There's, pros and cons to everything we do. I'm glad that nothing's fully decided yet. I'd love to be part of that decision, because it's going to be a big expense, but it's a big improvement. It's important.
All right. Thank you. The next question is, what can you and the Board of Water Commissioners do to promote the water district and the politics of it so that more people get involved?
Involved how so, Liam?
Say, making sure people come out to vote at town elections, or making sure that people come out to vote and participate in district meetings.
Fair. I think that the vote is pretty tough. There's a lot of folks I'm talking to, and they didn't realize that the vote's at the water department. And so a lot of it is an education thing, So anything that we can do as part of education to get the word out is going to be important. Taking advantage of the great resources that we have, whether it's the WCTV or Wareham Week, is going to be great as well. Maybe we should consider, at the meetings, maybe having them live on WCTV. Stuff like that could help promote the public getting more involved. Maybe even over our website, we could solicit questions from the public. There's any number of things that could be done. Because I agree. I would say that the Water Commission and the Water Department probably largely lives in an unknown kind of gray space to the folks of Wareham. They probably don't really understand a lot of what they do and a lot of what's going on. It would be a great benefit to our community just to know a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick repeat on the question.
The question is, how can you promote public involvement in the business of the water district, such as at district meetings or during district elections?
That's the question for everything, whether it be the water district, or whether it be the town, or whether it be the state or the country. Getting people out there to participate in voting. When you come to the water district meeting, I don't know what you're going to see on Monday night. I'm hoping that because of this competition that's going on between the Prudential Committee and for Mr. Preston and myself, that maybe some more people would actually come to the district meeting and vote for the amount of money that we're spending on the table. It's amazing to me that, we spend X amount of dollars and we do it with a minimal amount of people. And as far as voting goes, again, that's something that's been going on national and everywhere. It's like when I told you that the organizations, we used to have 50 with ours, and now we're lucky if we get 15 or 20. It's the active participation of the people just hasn't seemed to been there like it used to be in the old days. So getting that youth out here to vote, as much as I'd like to say I got the way of fixing it and doing it, it's got a long way to go. A lot of the system is broken as far as people coming up and having to go out and actually participate. But I would love for that to happen.
Thank you. Mr. Preston, do you have a response?
I do. If we want the younger generation interested, and if we want them showing up at these district meetings, why don't we have a commissioner that's right around their age too? I think that might help.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. This next question is, do you think the time has come to start talks to merge with the Onset Fire District? Or do you have a general opinion on that topic?
We've tried that. I would say probably 5, 6 years ago, we went to Onset and sat upstairs in their station, and we had discussions. We tried to even just use purchasing power to go along with them. And that's a question that's been asked for decades. Why do we have two? To go back and say how it started and how or why. I mean, the Wareham Fire District started in 1907, and we started as the Wareham Fire District. And then somewhere along the line, I'm not sure when Onset started, but they started their own. And ever since, it's been sort of like oil and water. I know that as far as the Wareham Fire District goes, we'd be more than happy to. Okay?
Thank you. And Mr. Preston?
I agree. I think it's going to be really hard. People don't like giving up the power that they have, and with those dollars comes that power. The structure out here in Massachusetts is different than where I grew up in Washington State. In Washington State, for example, the county has a lot more power, has a lot more dollars, and does a lot more. It's more efficient. Here, the county is facile, does hardly anything from what I can tell, and the money is with the towns. So every town has to be able to fight a handful of different types of fires, for example, whereas out west the towns are smaller. We take care of stuff in town, and then you've got the county fire department taking care of the woods. Here we're going to be able to take care of stuff in the water, we're going to be able to take care of stuff, downtown, stuff that's more rural, stuff in the woods, and you end up getting spread pretty thin, because you've got to spend all that money to have all that infrastructure. And on the water side, we're doing the same thing. We're in the same town and spending money in 2 different places, 2 different groups. It's inefficient. How to change it? Somebody's going to have to give up. Who's it going to be?
Thank you. Mr. England, do you have a response?
Well, yeah. Again, it's been attempted. And is it worth trying again? Absolutely. You can look at a few other things as well. And it's not based on water, but I mean, even the ambulance service that the town has, and is that something that's running efficient and not efficient? You know, could the district themselves take over something like that and make it run smoother? To me, it's a pig in a poke there, because we really don't know what we could do with something like that. It's an expense that would probably tap the district payers a lot more. But as far as, again, dealing with the people from Onset, that's something that would have to be a sit-down in organizations with each other. Whether or not that will come to fruition in the near future, I'm not quite so sure. They just built their own brand-new station, and they're quite happy with what they're doing themselves.
Thank you. And Mr. Preston, do you have a response?
Yes, briefly.
Thank you.
My professional experience for me, as the type of attorney I am, is bringing people together. So if there is that interest in joining them, I could play a crucial role in being able to get both sides together. That is what I do. Would be happy to help.
Thank you. This is another hypothetical consolidation-related question. What are your thoughts about building a public safety building in town that could combine fire, police, and ambulance together in one facility?
Well, so first I've heard of the idea, but you know, I could see it working. Anything that, you know, increases the cost efficiencies should absolutely be looked at. So you want to look at that initial investment. Do we have a place in mind? And you know, do the three different groups, do they all play well together? You know, are they all gonna, you know, fit in there? But I think it's something that should absolutely be pursued. I know that there's been a lot of talk about where we should put, you know, the next police station, and then already the difficulty I mentioned earlier of the water department having to go through both the, you know, commission and PRUCOM. I think that a fresh look at how we're running our services, how we're managing our services would be prudent.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
The prospect of a multiplex facility has been broached. It's been talked about for a number of years. There are a few different reasons why it really hasn't come to fruition, and part of it was location. There were a couple of locations that were mentioned at one time or another, whether it be down the end of mine at Forest, and that would have been one location that was looked at to not only include you know, Wareham Fire, the police station, EMS, as well as a location for Comcast. The trucks, if there was an emergency coming, if there was a hurricane coming or a nor'easter, we would have a spot for you know, those trucks to actually meet, so they're ready to go. That's one location that was looked at. You know, as the district, I believe, and again, this is more of a PRUCOM question, not necessarily a water commissioner one. But as far as the overall district is concerned, the Wareham Fire Station, there's a location that is being proposed at this moment, possibly, and it's dealing with, no, I don't want to get into what I'm saying, because again, that's a PRUCOM thing. And this, as far as the commissioners are concerned, I know that would be happy to, you know, share a facility. Right now, you know, our building alone down on Cranberry Highway is where the water department holds all their offices. The fire department, their offices are down on Main Street. So, you know, would it be more efficient to have a brand-new building somewhere? It's possible. But I don't think it's a necessary thing for us in the district at this moment.
Thank you. Mr. Preston, do you have a response?
I agree with Mr. Anglin. I think it's more appropriate for PRUCOM, you know, but certainly the, you know, sharing of efficiencies. So I don't know currently whether the fire department and the water department feel that they have enough room in their facilities to do everything that they're doing. But the ability to combine all three so that, for example, you could all share in a, you know, mechanics department, stuff, you know, there's going to be certain crossovers and an opportunity for efficiencies. I said before, it's worth exploring, But I'll trust Mr. Anglin. If they've been talking about this for years and it still hadn't happened, I don't know how much time we're going to spend on it just to have it not happen again.
And Mr. England?
No, again, I'm thinking. But true. Again, there is been conversation about a multiplex location somewhere. It's probably something that could come to fruition somewhere down the line. I just don't see that happening. They've been trying to do the police station, for 40 years. It's been obsolete for 35 of them. So that's one location that really needs to be addressed more so than what we have here. Our fire station downtown, it's in need of some repairs. To go out and spend, maybe another 10, 14, 20 million for a brand new fire station somewhere. That's something you're going to have to look at, and that's something that taxpayers are going to have to think about as well. Again, that's a PRUCON. It's not necessarily a water commissioner. Us as the water commissioners, we work out fine right where we are in that building. It's a little old and dated, but and the mechanics division is in that building. And that's the mechanic for the whole district. So right now, we are functioning ourselves just fine out of that building. If it was a little more modern, that would be nice. But we've gone ahead and modernized our whole system as far as all our computer systems and so on. That's all been updated, and we're got a system there that's working quite well.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on working with the sewer department to merge water and sewer bills so as to have sewer bills be calculated by water usage? And this goes first to Mr. England.
And that's definitely a water commissioner question. We've had this discussion for a few years now, not a whole lot, but they came to us probably 3 years ago, and we had a discussion on that. And one of the main things that's an issue with us is in order for the sewer commission or sewer department to utilize us as far as the water department goes, they're going to have to get into our records as far as what the usage of each property is, and right now those are our records. And that said, what will happen is if somebody gets a high sewer bill, and the sewer department's going to turn around and say, oh, well, your water bill, your water usage dictated the cost of the bill, and who's going to get the phone call? So that's one of the things that has held us back some. The sewer commission, about 6 or 7 of them came and sat with us probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and we had discussions there, and they didn't come back. So we haven't discharged it, but again, we have not heard from them since.
Thank you. And Mr. Preston?
Liam, was the question just about the calculation of their rates, or was it also about combining the commissions?
No, just about the calculation of the rates.
Calculation of the rates? I think I'd need to know a little bit more about it. I wasn't in those meetings with the sewer commission, but I would want to know a little bit more about how they are, how they're calculating now. What they're doing is just based on residents. I know in other towns it's all together. It's water and sewer is together, and that's what I'm used to. But I do understand, from the little bit I know on sewer, is that we do have some infrastructure issues here in town, and that money's going to have to come from somewhere. If there's something we can do to help, it's something that we should absolutely look at.
Thank you. And a response, if you so desire?
It's not necessarily a response to Sean. It's more of a response to, again, the inner workings between the water department and the sewer department, and whether or not that can be something that's can come to fruition by some mediation, and I'm not quite sure if that can happen. Personally, and this is outside the commissioner thing, this town is growing and growing and growing, and we're building and building and building, yet where's the sewer gonna go? I mean, the sewage, you got projects in Swiss Beach, you got projects up on Head of the Bay Road, and that's all tapping into our sewer system. So I really don't know where exactly that's gonna be heading, and how much more can this town, or how much more can this sewer system actually handle? And we're also on the coast, and we're gonna be hearing that with even private systems in people's homes. You know, they wanna make sure that everything, there's no discharge into the Buzzards Bay or whatever, but it's a real issue, it's a real problem. Whether or not we at the Water Department can help that in any way other than trying to facilitate their billing. So, that's all I got.
Thank you. And from Mr. Preston?
There are likely too many departments and too many commissions in this town, you know, for us to be able to enact meaningful change for the future. Water and sewer should be more closely aligned. If really all they're after is the data, that is something of value, and the water department is run as its own entity. So if we are looking at helping them out and all they're needing is data, we should at least explore the possibility of that being something that is sold to them.
Thank you. We're just about out of time for the questions, so if the two of you would like to give 2-minute closing statements, starting with Mr. Preston.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is my first time ever running for office. I've never done this before. We moved to Germany, and my oldest was not even a year old. And when she really started to come into her own and develop her personality, I knew that we were going to end up coming back to the States. So we were over in Europe just a little over 2 years, and I was not content there. A lot of people are. They have fun in their gardens in the weekends. I'm not a content person. I knew that I needed to come back to the States so that I could show my little girl how to build a business, how to run for office, how to enact meaningful change, and how to be part of a community. I'm so proud to be part of Wareham. I'm so happy to be here, and I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. England?
First of all, I would love to be able to do this job without having to be a politician. I don't consider myself one. I don't want to be one. I just like doing what I'm doing, and I've been doing it for quite some time now. What I've done here and what I show is my record, in our record. And I say our because it's more the our than it is a me. We as the commissioners and we as the water department, we have done a functionality to the point where we are running smoothly, and we want to continue to do that. And I know that as long as I'm still here, I'm going to give my best to be able to go ahead and do the things that makes the water district and the water department something that people are proud of. I want to continue making headways with the purifications of our water. They're doing fantastic. But as long as it's an easy thing to go, that's more in the positive for for the district. Again, I have been here for 9 years, and I wish to continue that position because I know that I can do a job that I have been doing quite well already. Thank you.
Thank you both for your participation. We will now take approximately 1-minute recess before returning with the candidates for the Wareham Fire Prudential Committee. This is being broadcast through WCTV on Xfinity Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 30. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Thank you. Right. All right. Thank you all for staying with us. We are back with the candidates for the Fire Prudential Committee, Joyce Bakiochi and Stephen Curry. There are two other candidates for tonight who unfortunately were unable to join us, Alan Slavin and Brian Crocker. Brian is an incumbent with the district, first elected in 2021, and we do not currently have a statement from him. However, we do have a statement from Alan Slavin that I will be reading as part of the opening statements. I will do that now, just before we get started. Okay. From Alan Slavin. Hi, I apologize for not being able to attend the candidates event due to medical issues. I have applied to run for one of the two open positions for the Wareham Fire and Water Prudential Committee. I'm currently a select board member for the municipality of Wareham and finishing up my 12th year. During that time, I have worked with the Fire and Water District on bylaw review, assistance in property acquisition for a new main fire station, and in conjunction with the town's new police station. I have also had discussions with the district on ambulance service. I also have substantial time with union negotiations for the municipality of Wareham. In addition to my duties on the Select Board, I was appointed to the following state, county, and regional boards: the Massachusetts Municipal Association Board of Directors, the Massachusetts Select Board Association representing Plymouth County, Cape, and the Islands, Greater Attleboro and Taunton Regional Transit Authority Advisory Board, Vice Chair, Plymouth County Advisory Board, Chair, Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District, Chair, Wareham Community Associates, Treasurer. These positions have allowed me to provide substantial assistance for Wareham achieving success in receiving grants, technical assistance, and transportation needs. I hope to find ways to bring the same success to the Wareham Fire and Water District. There has been several subjects that over the years have come up. First, the merging of our two districts. Simply stated, no one person can make this happen. Why? The two districts were formed over 100 years ago, separately by the residents and voters of the Onset and Wareham districts. The districts are separate entities and are not part of the municipality of Wareham. The only way this issue would happen is if the voters of each district put forth a ballot question. This has never happened in over 100 years. Next, the issue of financial compensation for the elected Prudential Committee members. The compensation is a yearly salary. Wareham Select Board members receive $0. Additionally, the elected Prudential Committee members receive health insurance, which the district pays the substantial majority of the cost to district taxpayers of over $30,000 per year. Also, if a Prudential Committee member serves 10 years, they become grandfathered into the insurance forever. I state here that if I'm fortunate to be elected, I will not accept the yearly pay nor the paid insurance. I ask for your consideration to become one of the two open positions for the Wareham Fire and Water District Prudential Committee members. Respectfully, Alan Slavin. If you joined us halfway through that, this is a statement from Alan Slavin, who was unable to attend tonight. Now, just as a reminder of the format will be a 3-minute introductory statement from each of you, and then questions will be asked of each candidate, alternating between the two of you as to who starts. You will be allowed 2 minutes for your initial response to the question, and then 30 seconds for a follow-up. And then after all the questions have been asked, we will come to a 2-minute closing statement. Does that sound all right?
Yes.
All right. So, Ms. Bakiochi, could you start with your 3-minute introductory statement?
Sure. So I just want to say good evening and thank you to everyone who's here, to Jody and to Liam, Wareham Week, and WCTV for making this possible. My name is Joyce Bakiochi, candidate for Wareham Fire District Prudential Committee. So I was recently asked why I was running for this position, and I guess my answer to that is, why wouldn't I run for this position? The reason I'm running now is because there are two, as you said, there are two open spots, but there's one spot that's being vacated by a longtime member, and that's really why I'm running now. I understand how the election works, that the top two vote getters win the 2 seats, but that's why I'm choosing to run now. I'm not running because I have all these changes that I want to make. That is not it at all. I've been attending meetings of the Prudential Committee. It's clear to me that the committee has a very good working relationship with the fire department and the water department. I take the responsibility of making decisions about taxpayers' money very seriously. I believe that my background makes me a good candidate. For the last 38 years, I can't believe it's 38, I've worked at and was part owner of Roby's Propane in Wareham. That's given me a lot of experience as a business employee and then as a business owner. My duties included finance and accounting, human resources, and I'm confident that those skills and background would be valuable as a member of the Prudential Committee. As I said, I've been attending the meetings. I've also spent a lot of time studying the bylaws, the annual reports, collected as much information as I can about the district in order to be more informed, not only just what's happening at the annual meeting, but what's happening throughout the year. As a school committee member, I have experience with budgeting and also with contract negotiation, also skills that I think would be valuable as a Prudential Committee member. I have lived in Wareham almost my whole life. My husband and I both graduated from Wareham High School. We have 3 grown children who also graduated from Wareham High School. I love this community, that we've all built here. And I've enjoyed serving on many different boards and committees. And I do believe that I would be able to make a positive contribution to the Prudential Committee. So that's why I'm here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Curry?
That's a tough one to follow. My name is Steve Curry. I'm running for the Prudential Committee. Basically, I've been in town. Didn't grow up here, didn't go to the high school, but we've been here for 40 years. I have 3 kids that graduated through the system. But basically, wants to know, what is the fire district? It's the combination of the water department and the fire department. And basically, the PRUCOM, the selectmen of the board members that oversee everything. Basically, the water department is self-sufficient with their water revenues for the income, and the fire department is pretty much run on the taxes. It pays for their salaries, equipment, training, fuel, utilities, insurance, etc. Today's fire department is not the same as it was 20 or 30 years ago. When a call would come in, the fire department and personnel and the call fires would go out to a fire, an accident, and rescue, and then come back basically. Today's fire personnel are multi-talented, trained, and experienced personnel who deal with car crashes, residential and commercial business fires, water rescues, hazardous materials, medical situations, structural integrity of buildings, and now the newest one is electric car fires. Members of the fire department review plans in connection with new construction of the town and yearly inspections for safety in building and fire alarm systems. Each year, the fire department recruits new call fires, sends them to training, and provides equipment. Part of their training is learning of driving the vehicles, use of apparatus, equipment for hazmat materials, CO2 gases, ammonia gases, anything that's hazardous to the human. To work as a team, and the newest one of them, you believe now, is active shooter training that these fire departments have to go through. Whoever thought you got to call somebody to the fire department, they got to wear bulletproof vests and worry about getting shot. Last week I stopped at the fire station 4 different times just to meet the firemen, to see what their concerns are and what they needed. A lot of their concerns is personnel issues, the need for recruiting and call firefighters for backup, and then hopefully future career firefighters. Training, filling the shifts, and one of the biggest things is hoping for a new fire station. One of the firefighters told me that he'd love to see one, but in his time, he doesn't think he's going to get one. Also, talking to one of the firefighters, I learned something interesting.
Mr. Curry, could you just make sure the microphone is pointed directly at your mouth? Thank you.
One of the firefighters told me that when they go to a fire, part of their training is to recognize the fire hydrants. What color is on that fire hydrant? A blue, a yellow, a green, or an
Sorry.
orange?
Could you just make sure your microphone is pressed on? We're having minor technical difficulties, but we'll be back with you soon. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So basically, the fire hydrants, they're color coded for the engineers and the firemen that show up, that they know how much water they have to fight a fire, and go from there. I also recently asked if I could take a partial tour of the main fire station to see what the concerns are of the personnel. I was told the main building was built in 1962 for a 5-man crew during the day and 1 man at night just to answer the phone in case there was a fire. Now there's 6 to 7 person crews working 24-hour shifts, plus a dispatcher, which they are short of, and the captain and engineers. At the time I went there, one of them was Thursday, actually the roof leaks and there was a bucket in their sleeping quarters just to collect the rain that's coming in. I also noticed in that building there were some mechanical issues, lack of storage for equipment, 1 washing machine to wash their equipment, and no decontamination area in case they run into a hazmat situation. The Main Street Fire Station is located in a flood zone, and basically because of that, it can't be expanded on or improved. Otherwise, they're going to put the fire station up on stilts. And that might be a little bit hard getting the engines in and out. If I'm elected, I would basically like to support the fire department, provide line item funding for training, equipment needs, job safety, recruiting call firefighters who want to become a career firefighter. I know at district meeting some of these articles are on their warrant. I'd also like to revive the search for planning a new station to bring it from the 1960s to 2025 and hopefully 50 years and beyond. To support the fire department and water department and their personnel, all this planning needs to be done in a fiscal manner as we all pay taxes. When I spoke with some of the firemen, they all have respect for the others, and their engineers have confidence in all their men. And so basically, when we call them, we know we're going to get the best. Thank you.
Thank you. This first question is, what capital improvements do you see as the highest priority for the fire district over the next couple of years? And this question will go first to Mr. Curry.
I think the biggest capital improvement that they need, me personally, is a new station. I know the last few years they've received grants and have gotten a new pumper, a new ladder truck. I understand they got a new rescue. But now with and some new equipment, but there's no place to store it in the fire station. The tour that I walked through, the new ladder that they had can only park about 3/4 in because the overhead storage prevented from getting any farther. Lockers are full, they're old. I did see the one bathroom that there was being repaired. Again, it was made for 4 or 5 people, not a dozen or more. I know also on the town warrant, they're doing improvements for electronic paying for people that come in for the inspections. But my biggest major improvement would be the fire station.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
I would absolutely agree that that would be number one on the, as far as capital improvements go, would be a new station. And that is clearly a complicated process. But it's, something that they've already been discussing, and I absolutely agree with everything Mr. Curry just said.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, do you have a response or a follow-up?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Do you have a response or follow-up?
No.
All right, thank you. This next question then, I guess, follows up on both of your answers. What are your thoughts about potentially building a public safety building in town that could combine fire, police, and ambulance together in one facility? And this question will go first to Mrs. Bakayaki.
So clearly that has worked in other towns, when they are able to build those types of facilities. And in this town, it would require the cooperation of the town and the district. And certainly it's something that could be explored. But as far as, it was discussed during the water commissioner questions that as far as finding a location and then the funding for such a facility would be challenging.
Thank you. And Mr. Curry?
As Joyce had just said, that it would be the combination of the town, because the town runs the police department, the district runs the fire department, the town runs the ambulance service. Again, it would be a very large facility, but again, it would save a lot of costs on the heating, Dispatching, if there was one general dispatcher that could handle police, fire, and ambulance, it would make sure that was properly staffed. I know one of the requirements for the fire station is proximity to their fire coverage. Police cars are roaming their patrols in East Wareham, Shangri-La, Great Neck, Swiss Beach, Gramesa Point, but the fire station has to be within a certain time frame of where they have to go. I know they discussed one time about putting this new multiplex where the Deacon's School is. It would be great for the police and the ambulance, but unfortunately, from what I understood, it was too far for East Wareham at the outermost point. So the first thing would be to find a logistical spot that all three services could utilize.
Thank you. Mrs. Bakayaki, do you have a response?
No.
And Mr. Curry?
No, I think we're good.
All right, thank you. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing the fire district? And do you have specific suggestions for improvement on these issues? And this question will go first to Mr. Curry.
I think the biggest challenges now for the fire department is basically the expansion of the town. Right now, there's approximately about 8,000 properties in town that the firemen have to cover between residential, commercial, industrial. That doesn't cover any type of cranberry bogs or anything like that. Also, right now, there's 3 major developments going on in town. From what I understand, the old Forest View nursing home is being rehabbed into a rehab center, physical rehab, not drugs or alcohol or anything like that. The other one, even though it's in Onset, is the Woodland Cove project, which I believe is about a 180 unit not public housing, but low income and housing. Even though that's an Onset, Onset and Wareham have mutual aid. If one of those structures go up, it'll be everybody on hand. And the other one is Littleton Drive. That's a 110 unit senior housing and low income housing between seniors in an apartment building and 11 smaller apartment buildings. There's a lot of area coverage. Wareham's building, so that means the fire department has to expand. And if there's no place to house them and they're not properly staffed, that'll be a major issue.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
I would agree that, as we said before, that a new station would definitely be a priority. And also, as we've also said before, the firefighters, recruiting firefighters is a challenge and something that's being addressed currently. And it's not just a Wareham problem. It's statewide, it's nationwide, all public safety. They're having challenges with recruiting people for those jobs, and that is a challenge here.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, do you have a...
Nope, all set.
Mrs. Bakayaki?
No, thank you.
All right. To follow up on sort of what you were saying about recruiting, could you talk about sort of your perspective on what the district is doing now and what it could potentially improve to help with its recruiting and help address that issue?
So, as I said, I've been attending meetings and reviewing documents, but without being a part of those conversations, I don't know what they're doing right now. But I would certainly be open to having those conversations and doing whatever I can to support their efforts in that.
Thank you. And Mr. Curry?
I was saying the same thing as Joyce said, that a lot of those discussions are done at the meeting, and not being present, I can't say. But speaking to some of the firefighters that we have, they want to recruit more, they want to train more, and hopefully fill in as more staff and career firefighters going forward. A lot of the issues now is that a couple of stations we have are in need of repair. There's nobody to train them. And if they do have someone there, they stay for a while, and they get disinterested because there's no training available. So the biggest thing would be to recruit call firefighters, provide them the training that they need from the experienced firefighters that we have. Because you can look at a book, you can look at a video, but unless you're hands-on and somebody mentoring you, that's what we need to make them the professionals that we need.
Thank you. Would you like a response?
All I would say is just add that there is in the warrant, funding that's being proposed to assist them in that effort for recruitment. I know it's not funding, isn't everything, but that bit is in there.
Thank you. And Mr. Curry, would you like a response?
No, good.
All right. This next question is there a specific issue that most motivates you to serve on the Prudential Committee? And this will go first to Mr. Curry.
Well, originally I tried being on about 5 years ago on the committee. Came in third out of 2 places. Unfortunately, there's only 3 of us running, so it was, it still was third. Last couple of years I wasn't able due to family issues and business. But I've had family that's in firefighting. I have a cousin that's retired after 30 years. His son's a new one in Newton. I have family that's police officers, nurse, friends who are EMT. So I've always looked at the support of public service because when we call 911, we want to know that somebody that shows up is going to be trained, and I want to make sure they get home safely when we call them. And I believe I can do that. I'm the working class guy, and I know what it is to work hard, and I just want to support them as I can.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
So there isn't one specific issue. I think just as I said in my opening statement, I just want to use my background to support the town, the district, the town of Wareham, the fire district in the town of Wareham, in any way that I can.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, do you want a response?
Yeah, it's just a couple of things. I know I was going to save it to closing, but I do work with the town now. I'm the assistant assessor, and I deal with the district clerk, with the Department of Revenue. Also been in logistics as a manager and trustee of the Redmond. So I do have the background and experience for getting things done.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
No, thank you.
Thank you. This next question is, what could the Fire Prudential Committee do to increase public involvement in things such as district elections, district meetings, other such things?
I heard you ask that question earlier. That's a really tough one because it's really hard these days for whatever reason to get people involved. They do a good job of putting out advertisements. They're already doing a good job. It's just motivating people to become involved, and that's a really, really tough one. I'm not a big fan of social media, but sometimes it can be used in a positive way. So perhaps that's something that might get some that aren't already, participating. That's and it's not just in this group. It's everywhere. It's hard to get people to come out and participate.
Thank you. And Mr. Curry?
I think I'm kind of like the old school. Years ago, people it was a privilege to go out and vote. Nowadays, with the younger generation, it's why should I? They're not going to listen to me anyways. But you get them more involved. Same thing we do at town meeting. Or why'd you vote for that? Well, did you show up and vote? And they say, well, no, I didn't. It didn't make a difference. It does make a difference, and you can't complain if you don't vote. As far as getting people more involved in the PRUCOM, again, a lot of people don't like, people sitting there talking business. As far as recruiting for the fire department, I know a lot of times some towns have job fairs or Fireman's Day where people can actually come out, see the equipment, see what they do, interest the young people to want to get involved.
Thank you. Mrs. Bakayaki, do you have a response?
Well, the only response I would have is I know that the fire department does have a very good relationship with the schools in Wareham. They're very present in the schools, and so I agree with what you're saying. But you're not talking about the kids in schools. You're talking about the voters that we want to get involved, and that's a little tougher.
Thank you.
Well
Mr.
said.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, what are your views on the benefits package offered to members of the water and fire boards, and do you intend to take advantage of those benefits? Mr. Curry?
I know there is a package. I know there's a stipend for their salaries. From what I understand, they are involved with the insurances and things like that. I'm not sure what the percentages are. I am employed by the town, so I'll probably be under the same type of package. But I mean, if they're doing the work and there's, you know, it benefits them or benefits the firefighters, I'd say yes.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
So I am aware of that there's payment made to Prudential Committee members, but that is certainly not why I chose to run. And what was the rest of the question? Would
Would you accept?
I don't even know, because I don't know exactly what they are,
All
because
right.
it just had nothing to do with why I was running.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, do you have a response?
No.
Ms. Bakayaki?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. This next question is, do you have an opinion on the hypothetical talks about a merger with the Onset Fire District? And this question goes first to Mrs. Bakayaki.
So I would just say that it's definitely something that is worth discussing. I didn't realize that it had already been discussed, as I heard just a little while ago. Again, I don't know enough of the details about how that would work, because I am not served on the committee, but I would certainly be open to a discussion on that matter.
Thank you. Mr. Curry?
Statistically, you have 2 fire stations, 2 fire departments. If you look on paper, combining of equipment and manpower will look good. Combining one, saving expenses. But as in Mr. Slavin's statement, they were developed well over 100 years ago. And with their charter and the whole bit, that will be up to the voters to combine those and vote one out or vote one together. And the history between Wareham and Onset wanting to be separate, it might not happen in our lifetime.
Thank you. Mrs. Bakayaki, do you have a response?
No, thank you.
Mr. Curry?
No, we're good.
All righty. This question, I believe both of you have already touched on elements of this, but I'd like to ask you if you could describe what it is about your education, life skills, and or work history that makes you the best possible candidate for a position on the Prudential Committee. And we'll start with you, Mr. Curry.
Okay. Well, basically been a resident for 40 years, currently on the Wareham Board of Assessors for 30, chairman for the last 18 years. I have a Bachelor of Science, a degree in Architectural Engineering from Wentworth Institute in Boston. I'm currently a certified real estate appraiser for 33 years and self-employed. I'm in the employment of the town of Wareham Assessor's Office as the Assistant Assessor and Data Collector for 9 years. I coordinate with the District Clerk Treasurer in relation to the Department of Revenue on setting valuations, tax rates, and billings. I'm currently the trustee and manager of the Redmond Hall in Wareham for 9 years. So basically I deal with insurance companies, logistics, ordering, procurement. And basically my goals are to provide the residents in the district a highly trained and equipped fire department for the safety of all residents and firefighters, you know.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
So yes, you're right. We have already talked about this a little bit. That my background, I do have a degree in business administration. I was an employee and then an owner of a business in Wareham. So that experience in human resources, accounting, finance, would serve me well as a Prudential Committee member. And also having been a school committee member and familiar with budgets and contract negotiation is very important also.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, do you have a response? No. Mrs. Bakayaki?
No, thank you.
Thank you. For this next question, could you talk about any experience you have with collective bargaining?
Sorry, you're looking at
Yes,
me.
to you first, Mrs. Bakayaki.
So yes, I do have a lot of experience, again, as a school committee member with collective bargaining.
Thank you.
As far as, I've served on different committees with different groups. It's something that I really enjoy, and as in my past role, because those are the people that make that work. So in this role, it's clearly the employees of the fire department, of the fire district, that are valued. And that's one of the most important parts, I think.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Curry?
Well, she definitely has one up on me on that one. Basically, I do deal with the budgeting in our office now at Town Hall. I'm active in our union, but I have not been directly a negotiator in collective bargaining.
Thank you. Um, do you have any conflicts that would preclude you from voting on members pertaining to the fire district? And this question goes first to Mr. Curry.
No, I do not. I do not have any family members or relatives or in the water department or the fire department. There would be a conflict of interest on voting on any matters, whether it's contracts, procurements, or personnel.
All right, thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
No, there are a lot of Bakayakis, but none of them are employed by the fire district.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, do you want a response?
Nope.
Ms. Bakayaki?
No, thank you.
All right, that about concludes the questions we had for the both of you. So if you would both like to take a 2-minute period of time for your closing statements, starting with you, Mr. Curry.
Basically, I think we've pretty much said it all in our speeches and answers, but I believe I could be beneficial to the Prudential Committee. I've learned over the years that you learn a lot just by listening and not speaking. You know, you need to hear what's needed, what the firefighters and the members need, and if it's feasibly financially available, I will get that for them. But we can't ask for, high-priced items, because all of ourselves as taxpayers, and even the firemen themselves are taxpayers, nobody likes to see the bill going up. So if we do this financially and fiscally responsible, I think we can continue to having a great fire department.
Thank you. And Mrs. Bakayaki?
So yeah, I mean, I would just repeat what I've already said, that I'm really dedicated to serving on this committee. I've done the homework. I've attended the meetings. I've tried to educate myself as much as I can. And I just look forward to using the experience that I have. I have the time available in order to do whatever's necessary to be good at this. I really consider this a job. This is a job that I'm, hoping to get, and I have the time and the ability to do that well. I'll repeat, I take spending the taxpayers' money very, very seriously. And I also have a tremendous amount of respect for the employees of the fire district who have dedicated their careers to those of us who live in Wareham.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I believe that is it for us this evening. Please come out to vote for the candidates you've just watched speak. The election will be on April 13 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Located at 2550 Cranberry Highway. Please come out as well to the fire district meeting, which I believe is this coming Monday, April 8, 7 p.m. at the Wareham High School auditorium. Thank you so much to the candidates for all the positions for taking the time to be with us this evening. Thank you, Jody, for setting all of this up. Thank you, WCTV, for broadcasting this event. Did you mention the drive-through voting? Could you mention the drive-through voting? I don't know that I am familiar enough with it to do so.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm George Barrett, Chairman of the Prudential Committee. And during COVID, the Clerk Treasurer's Office came up with a kind of innovative way to maintain social distance and get the voting done. We have a system of drive-through voting, where you don't have to get out of your car. You just drive down one side of the building, check in, drive around the building, check out. Doesn't get any easier. Please participate.
See, that's one way to get the public to come out and vote.
Yes. Well, no excuses anymore. But no, seriously, please come out and participate. It's the foundation of a healthy society and a healthy democracy, exercising your right to vote. So thank you for being here. Am I missing anything, Jody? It's all good. Right. Thank you, Wareham, and good night.